Are you ready for another great episode from Season 2 of Take a Timeout with Dustin Sullivan? We're kicking off in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Take a Timeout with Dustin Sullivan, a production of the Can Do Group. Can Do Group is a 501c3 nonprofit provider of services for adults with developmental disabilities and is pleased to bring you this podcast. Today, Dustin's guest is Ron Ammons. Welcome.
Thank you.
Ron was born and raised in Findlay. He received a bachelor's degree in sociology from Findlay College and master's in sociology from BGSU. He played baseball while attending Findlay College. Ron was the head softball coach at the University of Findlay for 13 seasons, and he currently is the head coach of Findlay High School baseball team. Before turning the mic over to our host, the trivia question of the week is, the Cincinnati Red Stockings, now known as the Reds, were the first all-professional baseball team. What year did they play their first game? We'll get to the answer to that in a little bit. Now to Dustin Sullivan, taking a timeout with Dustin Sullivan.
Have you always lived in Northwest Ohio?
I've always lived in Findlay. Gosh, I want to answer that trivia question, Dustin. Can I answer that?
Do you want to answer that?
I'll wait.
Okay.
I'll wait.
Can you move that mic? I can't see. What sports did you play growing up?
Oh, I played everything. But we didn't have soccer back in those days. Soccer was in the world, but I'm 65 years old. We never saw a soccer ball, but football, basketball, baseball, golf, all the original sports, I guess you would say. We played all those in the backyard, which is the best place to learn a sport, I think, is in the backyard.
That's kind of crazy that they didn't have soccer back then.
It is crazy.
Soccer was actually called football.
Football, that's good. That's a good observation, Dustin. It's
Yeah.
It's the world's game too, isn't it?
Yeah. Did you go to the University of Findlay to play baseball?
You know, I didn't come here to play baseball, but it was here. It
Yeah.
was offered, and I knew that I had a decent chance. I played at Findlay High School, and Findlay High School was huge back then. There were 80 guys out for the team when I went out. And I came to Little Findlay College, which it was called then, and there were 25 guys out for the team. So I thought, I might have a better chance to make this team than I did at the high school. Of course, the players were better here than they were at Findlay High, but it was a small group, so it was a nice result of coming here.
It's crazy how big it's grown.
This school has changed in every way since I went here. I graduated in '81, which isn't that long ago, but it's so much bigger, so many more majors, more sports. It's very impressive. I'm proud of this school.
I am too. Who inspired you most to be who you are today?
Oh my gosh, if I had to pick one person, it'd be my father. You know, the age I am, my father was a child of the Great Depression. You've heard all that. Mom and Dad were raised during the Great Depression and didn't have much, you know that whole story. Then he had to serve in the military in World War II, and Mom was one of the few gals that went to school. Not that many girls were attending college in the late 40s. So they both inspired me. They were both teachers. I had them both in school, believe it or not. So very inspirational,
Yeah.
plus many other people.
The Depression was hard because a lot of times they ate pancakes a lot.
You're right, Dustin. Yeah, it sounds pretty good, though. Yeah, you're right.
It would get tiring, though.
It would get tiring. They ate a lot of the same things over and over.
Should we get back to that trivia question real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, we said, what year did they play their first game? That's the Reds, which was actually called the Cincinnati Red Stockings at one time.
Stockings.
Which is just weird to me, but anyways, the answer is...
Am I allowed to say?
Yeah.
I bet Dustin knows. You know?
I know. I knew the answer.
Really?
You knew the
What
answer?
is it?
It's 1869.
Woo!
Yeah,
Good job.
I know he would know. He's a Reds fan.
And yeah, the Red Stockings kicked off their first regular season game with a 45-9 win over the Great Westerns of Cincinnati.
That's unheard of. You don't hear about that.
45-9, and
That's
that doesn't
doesn't-
sound like a baseball game.
It doesn't seem possible.
no, I would love to have seen that game. I bet it was a lot different vibe than what we saw with the Yankees versus the Astros yesterday.
Yeah. I'm surprised the Yankees have never scored that many before. Back in the days of the Bronx Bombers, I
Right.
thought they would.
With Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig and those guys, they probably could have.
What sports did you organize? Why the YMCA?
Oh, the YMCA, gosh, you know, the YMCA in general invented volleyball, invented basketball. Some people forget that, but those sports were invented in Hawaii. I didn't invent those, but I got to oversee a lot of leagues, from youth to adult, volleyball, wrestling. We even had a mini bike program, basketball, t-ball. And when I was there, and I came to the university after I worked at the YMCA, back in those days, in the 80s, the parents wanted us to take the age groups lower and lower and lower. So mainly what I did was I worked with the sports that we already had, but we took them down to the middle school and the grade school. Then all of a sudden we had 4 and 5-year-olds playing t-ball. So that's mainly what I did, was take the sports down to where the kids were so young, they were practically, leaving the crib and playing t-ball, baseball.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
You are a busy guy. Well, we have read you coached the University of Findlay softball team, the Findlay High School golf team, and the basketball team,
Baseball.
and baseball team. What exactly are you coaching today? What sports do you like coaching the most?
I like coaching all sports. I just like young people. I think that's what it comes back to. I just love to be around young people and watch them develop. And in sports, all the emotions come out. You can find out who's driven and who's not, and how to motivate them. But my favorite was probably softball. When I coached softball here, the young ladies that I had were so motivated.
Yeah.
You take a 19 or 20-year-old that's played softball her whole life, and she's playing in college. They're so competitive and motivated, and most of them were very high-level students, so they had to really do a lot of work to balance their studies and their athletics. It was fun to watch. Now, I'm doing baseball now, and these young guys are so fast and so strong. That's fun too, but I still don't tell my boss this at the high school. I like softball better.
The university has a good softball program.
They
So
do.
does Bluffton.
You're right. You're absolutely right, Justin. You know your sports. Now, I just want to tell you, the gal that coaches here now, Danny Thwaites is her
Yeah.
name. You probably know Danny. She played for me. I had her as a second baseman. She walked into my office one day. She had been at Eastern Michigan University, decided to go to a smaller school, and she walked in and told me she was going to play for me. I didn't even have to recruit her.
That's cool.
I said, okay, I'll take you, Danny. You played at a Division I school, and she came in and played. It was great for 3 years, and now she's the head coach. So,
Because I think the softball coach at Bluffton used to be at Findlay or something.
you're right.
Paige.
You're right. Paige Jansen. Paige Jansen was our Findlay High School coach. Did very well at Findlay High School.
So what do you like about golf? That you got into golfing as a coach?
Not that much, Dustin. That's kind of funny. Golf's a great game. I mean, everybody can play it. But I didn't coach golf this year. I did coach the varsity boys the last 2 years. Those guys were so technical, and we got to play at great courses. I mean, these country clubs around Ohio want the high school players to play on their courses so they can show off their courses. So I got to see a lot of great courses. But golf's not my first love. But we needed a golf coach at the high school, so I told the athletic director, I said, I'll do it. I'll find somebody else, and they did. The head coach is Tate Metz, and he played golf here. Tate Metz may be another one you want to interview sometime.
Yeah.
He's our high school golf coach.
You know, it's funny. If they would ask John Kaiser to be a good golf coach, I think he would have done good.
He would, and I got John Kaiser into coaching our JV team. Did he tell you that when you interviewed him?
He never told me that.
I roped him in. He was our JV coach for a year.
He's a great golfer.
Yeah, he's just a good athlete. But then the University of Findlay gave him a promotion. Now he's struggling coaching golf, so
Yeah.
I guess I'll forgive him. for
Yep,
that.
he's a good guy. Him and my dad are like buddies.
Are they really? That's good. John's a good man.
Is there a difference in coaching men and women?
There is in general, and like I said, the interesting thing for me, I had the girls here, ladies, I should say, who were playing college, very focused, they had put a lot of time into it. Many of them were receiving scholarship money, athletic aid, and were very businesslike. The boys are a little more playful. They get a little crazier. They say things and do things that I would never
Yeah.
allow the girls to do and say. I probably shouldn't allow them to do it either, but just different vibe. The girls are very, they do a lot of cheers, a lot of spirit. The boys are kind of up and down, but they're a lot different, but they're a lot the same. The games resemble
Yeah.
each other. You're running bases, you're hitting and fielding, so they're similar in that way. But the girls want to be more technical too. They want to do things right.
Yeah.
The boys like to hot dog it a little bit sometimes.
You know, people don't realize it, but there's a lot of effort into softball and baseball. There's a lot of stuff that people don't know about that there's keys to the game that make you have success.
You're right, Dustin, you're all over this. You know, you don't just go to practice and roll the balls out and say, just take a few swings. There's a lot to it. It can be as technical as you want it to be.
Yeah, if you don't have your swing right, you're not gonna make contact.
You're right. You can see that in what's going on in the major leagues right now. I see some of the Yankees who are taking these big swings and
You don't need a home run, go for the
You're right.
small ball.
They've forgotten that.
What made you leave the University of Findlay level for the high school? What made you leave the university level for the high school level?
I would have liked to have stayed here. They offered an early retirement program. I was 58 years old. I asked my wife, I thought she'd say, no, you cannot apply for that. She said, go ahead and see what happens. And I applied for early retirement and I received it. So I thought, okay, I'll retire. But I knew I'd get bored. So I went to the high school and I thought, I've helped my one alma mater. I coached at University of Findlay. Now I'm going to go to Findlay High School and help my other alma mater. And that's why I went there. I've been there since 2016 coaching baseball. First with JV, now the last 4 years varsity.
You look really good for 65.
Thank you.
I would have guessed you were like 57.
I appreciate that. I do what I can, but being a coach helps. If you're active in your coaching, now I had coaches that went either way. I had coaches that would sit there and tell you what to do, and I had coaches that would get out with us. And I want to be that guy that gets out on the field, throws the ball. There's only one drawback to that, Dustin. My catcher here at University of Findlay, I was pitching batting practice, and she hit a line drive and broke my arm.
That's crazy.
So I found out maybe you want to participate, but maybe you want to stand behind a net when you're pitching a ball to a big, strong catcher.
I don't blame you.
She said, are you okay? And I said, no, I'm not okay. I think my arm's broken.
That'd be pain, that'd be horrible. What's your favorite part of your job as a coach?
Just seeing the young people come out and develop. I see them at school during the day, and they'll ask me questions about baseball, what's going on here, what's going on there. Then to get them together and to get my assistant coaches like Kaiser,
Yeah.
and to get those guys organized and to be successful. You know, we don't talk so much about winning, we talk about being successful. So as long as we can be successful by the end, we know we've done our job, and that's very satisfying.
I love to see that more players this age, this era, want to play baseball again.
Baseball does seem to be coming back, don't you think, Justin?
Yeah, I kind of wish that more people would go out and support the Findlay High School baseball team.
Yeah, you know, I think you and I talked about it. People are busy, and I think a lot of us tell ourselves we're busier than we are.
Yeah.
I know I tell myself, I need to stop here, I want to see this team, I want to see this soccer team, and then you don't do it. And our baseball field at Findlay High School is nice, but it's back. If you've noticed, it sits way back
Yeah.
behind the school. And some people don't want to park and walk the
Yeah.
quarter mile to get back there. But when we're winning, they'll show up. So
That's awesome.
we can get them there.
What is your favorite professional baseball team?
I
The
think
Cincinnati
we
Reds.
hit on it, yeah.
Just like yours.
Yeah, I wish they were better though.
Yeah, I tell my wife, Jess, and maybe you'll agree, I think they're the most talented last place team you'll ever see. They've got a lot of talent. I like Joey Votto, maybe you do too. I love to watch him swing the bat. He's in the last part of his career, don't you think?
I think next year's gonna be his last year.
It could be, but I am a Reds fan.
What kind of practice drills do you prepare your baseball team?
You know, we don't do a lot of fancy things. That's one thing especially I saw in softball. People like to throw these fancy drills in, and they're throwing balls at every angle and doing all sorts of. I like to do things that resembles baseball skills. A lot of ground balls, fly balls, hitting, just normal, down the middle things that make sense. And Coach Rookie's the same way. If you go to a Coach Rookie practice, he doesn't have a bunch of fancy, fluffy drills. It's basics, it's fundamentals.
That's what I like.
Because that's where games are won and losses, on a throw or on a catch, just the basics. You have to be good there. You don't need the fluffy, fancy pastry on top.
So if you had to choose any golf course anywhere in the world, United States, what would it be?
I choose the Spyglass course because I live on Spyglass Drive, so I've never been there. I couldn't even tell you where it is, but the neighborhood I live in, every street is named after a golf course. Sawgrass and all the other famous names.
So if you had to
St.
take a
Andrews.
professional golf course for pros, what would be the nicest golf course you would love to always?
I would go to the one in Scotland where golf was invented. What's the name? What is that
Whistling
called?
Straits?
Is that what it's called?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm sure my lack of golf knowledge here, but There's the one where they claim golf was invented. I mean, you got to play that one if you're a golfer. You need to go where the game originated, right?
I don't watch golf, but I know this stuff.
I can tell. You know more than I do.
I study it.
You must.
Are there any differences in the rules of softball and baseball?
There are. Obviously, in baseball, when you get on base, you can take a lead off. In softball, you can't leave until the ball's pitched. And even as you get younger, you have to wait longer than that. But there are differences. It's funny that you brought that up because baseball players and softball players like to say that their games are so much different than each other, especially the girls. They're kind of protective. The young ladies want to say, our game is so much different, the swing is different, this is different. I'm here to tell you they're very similar.
Yeah, you both hit a ball.
And you both hit a ball.
You know what I've always said about, I've always wanted to see like girls softball players play professional guy baseball players to see who would be better.
Compete against each other.
Compete.
Compete against each other. You know, it's funny, they've had softball pitchers like Jenny Finch pitch against major league hitters, and a lot of times they can't hit them. They're not used to seeing that ball coming from underneath, for one thing. But the games are very similar but very different. But especially I've noticed the girls want you to know that their game is unique, and it is unique. And in some of the better games that I coached at University of Findlay, we play Grand Valley and have a great game. It'll be done in an hour and 15 minutes.
That's crazy.
You're done.
Baseball takes 3 hours.
Oh my gosh, you get into a good game and you're looking at your watch and it's getting dark. Are we going to get this game done? You know how it is. But I love the game.
So have you ever, like, since you're a baseball coach, have you ever practiced with softballs for your baseball players before?
You know, we have had our baseball guys throw softballs, and I do that for two reasons. Number one, I want them to appreciate what it's like to throw that bigger ball.
Yeah.
And it forces you to spread your hand out. It makes you concentrate a little bit more. So there's some value in that. Now, I never made the girls play with the baseballs. It's funny, when we would practice here at the University of Findlay, sometimes we would split FRC in half, like the Kaler Center. We'd be on half, and the boys would be on half with the big curtain down the middle. And if a baseball rolled over on our side, I picked it up, I was like, how do they play with this little tiny ball? It seemed like a golf ball, you know? But, yeah, like I said, so much different, but so much the same are those two games.
So what position is Andrew playing this year?
Andrew Kaiser, John's son, is probably going to be a third baseman. That's the family position. John was a third baseman. His older son played third base for us. I think Andrew would like to play third base too.
And the crazy thing people don't know about John, he was a pitcher too.
John's just a good athlete. You look at him, he's probably the last. Boy, if he hears this, he's going to be mad at me.
Yeah.
He doesn't really look like he's as good as he is. He's just a shorter guy. He looks like an everyday guy, but boy, when he swings the bat or throws, he's all business.
He likes to just trick you.
John is like a ghost in all our podcasts. He always comes back.
His name shows up.
Yeah.
He's gonna think he's famous, and that's dangerous for me.
Everybody's gonna be like, who's this John Kaiser
Everybody
guy? I'm
knows him.
gonna look him up some more.
Do you have interest in history? Are you a social studies teacher at the high school or university?
I am not a teacher, but I've given many talks on history. I just became it's my hobby. And I have found out that when something that you love becomes your job, like softball, it's not quite as fun. I love softball, I love baseball, but when you're coaching and the expectations there, they're not as much of a hobby. But history is my hobby. I've never really taught it, but I've given history talks on like World War II. I really like the World War II era since my dad was in that war. I know what a lot of local people did. So I'm giving a talk next week at the museum. They have a brown bag luncheon once a month. I'm going to speak on what local people did in the last year of World War II. So that's my hobby. That's Coach Rookie's hobby.
Yeah.
You need to ask him about that. Of course, he taught it too. He was a history teacher, but that's still his hobby.
That's cool. What got you started on writing historical books? How do you choose the local military veterans you research and write about?
First thing I need to say is I'm not a famous author. I've written a couple books with help, and they're just local publications. You know, you find them in the museum here. I'm not a well-known author, but since my dad was in the war, and when I was a kid, everybody's father seemed to have been in either World War II or Korea. They were all veterans. You know, we had 13 million people served in World War II, including women. So even some of the moms had served. And as I got older and they started aging out, and all of a sudden that generation's almost gone, I thought, some of this needs to be written down. A lot of people have done podcasts or oral histories, but I like to write it down so I can go back and look over it. So I I've done 2 books with the local museum on
That's cool.
local people in World War II, and one on Korea too. the
How'd
Korean
you
War.
find your people that you do?
I just knew the names, and it's like anything in the world. If you know one person, they know 3 other people.
Yeah.
Then you go to those 3 people, and now you've got 15, and it just branched out. And I had people say, "Hey, you need to interview my grandpa, my neighbor, my mailman, this and that." So it just had a life of its own.
I like that you do that for the military, because the military doesn't get appreciated like they should.
It doesn't. I think I saw somewhere that only 3% of the population will ever serve in the military. So that means 100% of us enjoy our freedom. 3% of the people make the sacrifice for it. So I think we need to accentuate those people that do things that I could never do. I would never want to do it. I couldn't do it. I don't have that type of a mentality.
Do you know Kenny Lenz?
Oh, do I know Kenny? Of course, he's passed now.
Is
but
he one of the books you
I
need?
have his interview.
Okay,
Kenny
because
Lenz.
I think I have that book. He
Kenny.
gave me one of them.
Kenny gave it to you.
Yeah.
He was our last surviving former prisoner of war
Yes.
when he passed
Yes.
away at 94 years old. A great guy, an everyday guy, a real guy. You know, just a Finley guy, gets drafted, goes on these
The
bombing
most
missions.
humble guy you'll
Humble
ever
guy.
meet. Yes.
Got shot down and served as a prisoner of war and came
Yeah.
back, and just an everyday guy again.
Yeah.
Citizen soldiers are what they call those people.
That's
And they've
cool.
written a
Yeah.
book on that, citizen
Yeah.
soldiers. So.
Never was in the parade or anything, and I always
Nope.
stood by him at the Memorial Day parade, and the people that knew him would salute him. So that
Yeah.
was a great experience, just standing by him during those parades.
Makes you proud to be an American.
Yeah.
My grandpa was a veteran. He did the stuff, the communication towers.
Very good. Was this in World War II? Dustin, or
Yeah,
was
he was in Venice,
Vietnam.
Vietnam,
Oh.
not Vietnam, where's that place in like England or something?
Oh, maybe in Vienna or something like
Vienna.
that? Very good.
I like
That'd be
them
an
out there.
interesting history.
Yeah, I know, there's a famous guy that was a hockey player from Finley that was in the military, Weldy.
Weldy Olson. I know who
I
Weldy
interviewed
Olson
him, he's a great guy.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, he's the top of the line.
He tells you how it is, but he knows he said he was a good war veteran too.
I would listen to Weldy, especially when he's got that Olympic gold medal. That's a guy I might listen to.
Yeah. He's in our podcast.
No, he's a fantastic guy. And he used to come to some of our softball games. And the girls knew who he was, and I told them about him. And once I said Olympic gold medals, they kind of looked up and said, "Really? Because you don't relate to those people every day."
Right.
You know?
He's a good guy. Do you support any local charities?
The United Way, absolutely. I worked in the YMCA for almost 20 years, so, you know, the United Way and the local charitable organizations in this town are so great, including Can Do and whatnot. This town just does a magnificent job in that area.
The United Way offices are right above the Can Do Studio.
Is that right?
Yeah, in the same building.
Yeah, I gained a great appreciation for the United Way, working for the YMCA, obviously, because we knew the history of them and heard that mentioned a lot of times.
We're almost to get to the end without the fact of the week.
Uh-oh, what's that?
So, did you know that Findlay High School and Fostoria High School both wanted to use red and black as their school colors?
I
I
knew
did
that.
not know that.
I knew that.
Both schools agreed in the fall of 1912 that the winner of their football game would determine who would become red and black. Obviously, Fostoria won the game. So Findlay High then settled on blue and gold. They then adopted the nickname Trojans in 1934. So that's very interesting, very
But
cool.
The only bad thing I wish we would have been black and red, because it makes me think of Michigan.
The blue and gold, yes.
I
yes.
guess that's right, Justin. I hadn't thought about that. But
The red and black
here
against
I
the
am
blue
wearing
and
the blue
gold.
But I kinda like it now.
Yeah.
And I like the name Trojans. I'm not sure how we got that, but it all worked out in the end.
You were talking about charities. If any charity that I would support is muscular dystrophy, because I have that, and I wish people would know more about it, because a lot of people don't know about it. And it's a good thing to help people like all these charities out here.
You'd be a good spokesman for that.
I'd love to help other people.
Well, you are, let me tell you.
Now for the famous final question.
Uh-oh.
Do you consider a hot dog a sandwich?
I consider a hot dog a disaster, a tasty disaster. You know, here I am, a baseball coach. Don't they say, now this is kind of a joke, but they say every time you eat a hot dog, it takes 30 seconds off your life.
I think it's like eating slop on a bun.
It is.
This is
I
why
don't
he
know.
looks so young. He obviously doesn't eat hot dogs.
Oh, yes, I do.
Oh.
You know, Dustin, haven't you ever heard, you've heard that a hot dog tastes better at the ballpark, right?
It just does.
Why is that?
Because of the way they cook it.
Oh, okay.
Because they steam it.
They steam it.
And they put it in a boil it. I mean, it's something about a baseball game. It just tastes so
It
good.
hits the spot.
Got to put a little bit of mustard and relish on it.
I'll tell you who else has got mustard. A lot of these major league players. We got some real, what we call, you've heard the term hot dog player. We
Yeah.
got a lot of hot dogs in the major leagues right now. Goodness gracious.
The best hot dogs are probably, I gotta love the Skyline chili dogs.
He's still stuck.
We used to have a Skyline in Finley. What happened? Didn't you support them, Dustin?
No, they're just in a bad area.
Oh, I got you. Always wondered why we lost that,
Yeah,
lost
that's
that franchise.
Well, thank you for taking a time out with Dustin Sullivan today.
Certainly.
It was nice getting to know you, and we hope everyone else enjoyed getting to know a little bit about you too.
I'll have to try to come out and see you coach baseball.
Yes, you will. I'm the good-looking guy coaching third, and Kaiser's the not-so-good-looking guy coaching first. Just so you know, okay?
I told John if you guys let me end up throwing out first pitch, it would be an honor.
We can do that. We can do that. We'll roll you right out the mound, and if you throw a good pitch, we might let you pitch the game.
I don't think Marvin would probably be tired.
It might be. You pitch the first inning then.
I think I'd be a better coach than player.
Well, we'll give you John's spot. Don't tell John that. We'll let you coach first base.
I think I could play coach good against John.
We can set that up. The only problem is when you're in the box, a lot of foul balls go down that way. You gotta be careful not to put a helmet on you.
The only problem is when you get him with John, it's like talk, and they're gonna get off subject and not be paying attention to the game. And
That's okay. We can allow some of that.
At least I don't yell. John probably is a little more vocal than I am.
John is he's the vocal guy. When the umpire needs to be yelled at, I let John do it. Because if somebody's gonna get thrown out, it better be him and not the head coach.
I would be afraid to yell at the umpire.
Yeah, I typically am afraid.
Because you never know, one false word and they might throw you out.
I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen with John, I think.
so,
And we hope everyone else enjoyed getting to know a little about you. That's all, folks. Beep, beep, beep.
Thank you for joining today's podcast of Take a Timeout with Dustin Sullivan, a production of Can Do Group. This podcast is made possible by the support of local businesses and community members like you. Thank you. Want to be part of the action? You can help Can Do Group continue supporting adults with developmental disabilities by donating at www.candogroup.org.